goes to freshen up. Often we see players make another move just to guarantee that they haven't written down the moves wrong, or Gukesh actually hasn't been writing the moves down, so maybe he isn't aware that they've reached move 40. Although the clock's now probably a bit of a giveaway.
Yes. Also, you can look at your opponent and have a peek at their score sheet, and there you can see the arbiters showing the players the moves that have been played.
Yeah, so no big drama here. The players just catching up on the score sheet before the clocks restart. We see our arbiters there doing a good job, but then it's all about Ding, Jovanka. He'll have 30 extra minutes now to convert his advantage. It is a totally winning advantage because White has simply no attack. He's going to be 3 pawns up. And how long do you think this game is going to continue?
Well, it's the first match, right? So the first game in the match, and I feel like you should at least play it out. Because yes, you know, White is losing, but, you know, it's not over until it's over. and there's still some hopes, you know. You can imagine a situation where the queen is in the center somehow. I mean, I'm grasping at straws here, but Ding will still have to win it with those extra pawns. And if he can't push those pawns so easily.
Although this one is...
that one's falling. I mean, actually, can you grab that pawn right now?
I don't see why not. This is the current position. Black piece is so dominant, we've got to say.
Let's do it right now. So queen takes.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a safe haven for the black king on h7, protected by its bishop on this diagonal, that I think you can happily grab. And if we try and get the white queen in, it's hard to imagine her doing too much damage, but where's she even going? This is just one check. Black king will hide, and actually it's the white king that's about to be checkmated in the next few moves.
Yeah, and you cannot grab the pawn on a3 because the white king is missing cover.
Yeah, here, for example, I haven't spotted the mate yet. I'm just assuming it will be there, but yeah, mate in 2. Oof. We talked about the Alpha Zero pawn, the AI. We had help from our sidekick Gemini earlier, but I mean, it's going to be that Alpha Zero pawn, the A3 pawn, that maybe shortens the resistance for Gukesh right now. Ding takes it. But this is very professional. He's just calming his nerves first, foremost.
Yeah.
Wow, what a start to the match in general, but especially for Ding.
Totally. To win with the black pieces and, you know, deploying an opening that he hasn't tried that often in recent years, and it just worked a treat. It was provocative. Gukesh overextended, made just one key inaccuracy. I mean, the position was so finely tuned that he just played rook to c1 and got into all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, he just kind of went on the attack at the wrong moment, unfortunately, for Gukesh. And there we go, another pawn drops off. It's 3 pawns to the good now for Ding. I would be shocked, actually, Jovanka, if this game continues another 10-15 minutes. I just don't see any resistance at all. Gukesh, he's going to come to terms with things. I think it's a pride issue for chess players. We don't want to resign, especially at this kind of level. And the only way this game continues is if he prolongs the fight by, I don't know, giving a couple of spite checks. And
yeah, it's the knight on d3.
An octopus.
It's a beast, because the move as white you want to play is you want to go queen c5 with a dream of planting the queen on c8 and getting some kind of perpetual, because that is the key square. But there's just
the knight controls.
Exactly. It controls c1, no access there, everything denied.
All these squares the white queen would love to use, actually. Controls a few extra ones just as a bonus, but this knight is just, it's been the star piece, simply. This whole game's been hopping around.
On that basis, could you just go bishop to f1 and go,
okay,
be gone?
Be gone.
Although I guess you could go queen to b3.
Queen to b3 or somewhere, yeah. I can ask what your threat is, actually. If you take, I'm wondering if I can check, or maybe there's no checkmate, but at the very least I'm going to check and trade off some stuff. Opposite card bishop endgame sometimes a draw, but
not this one.
Probably not this one. This is one pawn that's going to keep the white bishop paralyzed. There's another pawn over here, another pawn over here. This is going to be over.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of last case, last resort for Ding as well. That's if he doesn't find a checkmate.
Yeah.
Wow. I think we'll break down some of those key moments in the build-up to the time scramble a bit later, but expecting handshake potentially even, Ivanka.
I agree. Once Gukesh comes to terms with the idea that his position is lost, then I do think a handshake is in order, because the problem is, how are you going to stop the a pawn? And that's also one of many troubles.
Yeah.
The white king is unfortunately placed. The bishops are just not very well positioned, and finally we see Ding leave the board for the first time.
Historic moment, Ivanka. First time in the 2024 World Championship that the current world champion leaves the board. And I was going to say, the reason I expect resignation is because Ding's sitting there. Normally, you always see players leave the board after move 40. They get extra time, they want to freshen up, go to the bathroom. But look at that, 100% of the time, 4 hours plus at the board. I took a long flight recently and I was like back to the bathroom like constantly. I'm actually sitting there 4 hours, and Gukesh, you got to feel for him. He went for it, and credit to him. Very aggressive player, but ultimately backfired.
Yeah. Okay. But what an exceptional young man he is. Winning the candidates. And you know, after his loss to Alireza Firouzja at the candidates, that was the moment that he knew that he could win it.
Yeah. That was, I mean, that was a huge game. He was totally winning. He was about to take the lead. Yeah, suddenly he fell apart and motivated him.
Yes.
But, I mean, that's the candidates. That's one of the biggest tournaments in the world. This is a whole new level of scrutiny.
Totally. I mean, all eyes of the world are on this match right now. That we're feeling for Gukesh, because he went all guns blazing right from the opening. You know, he rose to the challenge, and it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, not quite at his best yet, but we expect that he will come back swinging, come back fighting, because he's got that mentality. We talk about his maturity as a teenager. It's just phenomenal. He just, I mean, I remember as well at the 2022 Olympiad when he lost that heartbreaking game against Abdus Sattorov, and he still came back after that. He was determined more than ever to win the Olympiad for his country 2 years later. And yeah, it feels like he really thrives when the adversity shows itself.
He's incredibly mature. You know, he really rises up to those big match moments as well. You know, he does deliver. He's finding himself here playing a world championship match at the tender age of just 18. So I'm sure this is just a blip, you know, just perhaps the nerves getting to him in this particular game. But what a start already to what is going to be such a memorable world championship match.
This is if this is a glimpse into what we're about to see, then we're really in for a treat. And I hope everyone's had their popcorn already at home, but if not, then save some for the next few rounds.
And take a look at this, David. Like, have a look at the computer evaluation. Oh. It is mate in 40.
Mate in 40.
And forced mate in 40 for black.
I mean, Gukesh has seen it all. He's worked it out already. Ding spotted that. That's why he took the break to the bathroom. Yeah, this is over in multiple ways. He does make another move, so he's going to fight on a little bit. He gives a check. Yeah, the black king, though, simply... Oh, wait, Ivanka, I missed something.
Oh, because if you hide king h7, queen takes bishop.
It's check, and there's a pin.
It is a pin, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I'm embarrassed about my lack of provision there, but...
Yeah, so you have to put the king on h8.
One winning move, one safe square.
Yeah, and you cannot go queen takes bishop and go ha, because queen to f2, and then you can recapture the queen in peace.
Yeah, that's why it's these players sitting there at the board fighting for the World Championship. They see these details. I'm sure Ding's going to just speedily play the move king to h8 right now. Let's show that on the board. This check hits the king. He's going to slide into the corner. He finds the winning move. This might force resignation. If he'd gone the other way, then queen takes bishop comes with check. That's the key. We see a handshake. We'll break down those key final moments a bit later. Ding takes the win, though. the first game of the World Championship goes in Ding Liren's favour.
Yeah, a win with the black pieces. What a game to kick off this historical match. Wow. It's entertained us with many aspects, with the nerves, the opening surprises, the excitement, precision, and there we can see the scoreboard for the moment. Ding Liren takes the lead, winning with the black pieces. The first time in how many years? 14 years? 13 years?
14 years.
Yeah.
That we've seen a decisive game at the beginning of a World Championship match, and no words between the players. I think they're both just recovering from what was a really hair-raising time scramble. Emotion going through both of them, that's for sure. But we will see them shortly in a press conference where we will be asking them questions. We will be getting their thoughts on what's just happened. But Jovanka, the game itself was just, I mean, that's going to be printed in magazines, websites all across the world. It's going to be causing headlines. It's
right. It felt
game.
like it was not only crazy, but in some ways it also felt like Ding played a model game. You know, when your opponent overextends in the opening, he found some fantastic resources just to keep the position further imbalanced and won in precision from Gukesh. And it really turned on that small detail.
Yeah, it really did. And I think we have to backtrack and do a bit of an action replay of some critical moments. Just to remind everyone at home, there will be a press conference with the two players, chaired by Grandmaster Maurice Ashley. And we will bring you that live very shortly. And we do have a few minutes, though, while the players kind of take a break, recover, freshen up. So I think a good moment to maybe just very briefly through the opening.
Right.
French defence. A surprise, Ding hadn't played this since the last World Championship match where he wasn't successful against Nepomniachtchi. So a small surprise. The French defence pushing this pawn forward, prepares to fight for the centre. And yeah, we see the classical variation of the French defence, and this move, knight back to e2, not so common. So Gukesh actually getting the first surprise in, and here it was Ding who started to think. A5 came after a lot of thought, Jovanka.
Yeah, it certainly did. I remember, like, it cost him already almost half an hour on the clock to come up with A5, and A5 didn't actually phase Gukesh. He just continued as normal, playing quickly knight to f3.
Yeah, knight to f3.
But Ding's point was that he's just simply going to advance the A pawn as far up the board as possible and use it as a potential destabilizing device.
Yeah, a battering ram here against White's beautiful pawn chain. And it is fitting. I mean, Google are the sponsors of this match, and this is very AlphaZero-esque. Of course, AlphaZero, yeah, developed by DeepMind and now a part of Google. And this pawn actually played a starring role. It caused Gukesh to later resign when it was about to reach touchdown, about to promote. So the bishop came out. Another great move, I've got to say, Jovanka, after g4, showing aggression, going for a kingside attack. Gukesh showing his hand. Queen to a5. That was inspired as well. It provoked weaknesses in Gukesh's queenside long term.
Right, and this was the first moment where Gukesh actually paused for thought here, because, you know, we were expecting moves such as queen to b6, putting pressure against d4. Queen to a4, a5 asks the questions, you know, what are you going to do to resolve this pin along this diagonal, threatening to capture the pawn on d4. And here there were many moves to White's disposal. In fact, I think at this point we took a break, you know, and I think that we saw that the best suggestion was actually queen to c2, which is really not intuitive at all.
Yeah, White had many options. Gukesh chose to instead just continue development. And the idea was that after his queenside was undermined, he had this sneaky intermezzo, this Zwischenzug in between move. Instead of recapturing on d4, he flicked in a quick attack against the black queen, forcing her to retreat. And only now did he recapture in the center. So it did look, at least visually, very appealing for White. There's a nice outpost in the center. But long term, actually, this pawn is a thorn in the side. And these pawns look nice, but they do leave a weakness and an outpost on the c4 square, which Ding
immediately exploited.
Yeah, exactly. Jumping in. And this is where things started to turn, right, Jovanka?
Yeah, it's around about this point where after castles, bishop d7, another fantastic move from Ding, just keeping his position very flexible, just keeping Gukesh guessing. And Gukesh spent a lot of time here just to play the very natural queen to e2.
Yeah. Eventually he did put the queen on this square, but maybe living to regret it. And a key moment where actually you found maybe the best move for white was in this position. The c3 pawn is attacked. It's clear you really want to defend it, but it's not just that one. It's the fact that queen c4 might come.
Yeah.
Actually, queen to e3 played first, and only now, when the pressure's become unbearable, did he make the mistake, Gukesh.
Playing rook to c1, just allowing the queen to infiltrate on c4 with the idea of going queen to d3, because black holds all the long-term trumps in this position. You know, the pawn on c3 is weak, the pawn on a3 that black has is exceptional, and all Ding needed to do was just neutralize white's potential kingside attack, and Ding just does it exceptionally well here. With precision, I would say, and with some brilliant calculation.
Yeah, we should mention the move he should have played, Gukesh, was to leave this rook in the corner and actually just retreat his bishop. Not just defending this pawn with a lesser piece, keeping the white rook flexible, defending a2 as well, but also opening up the f-file, which became a bit of an issue later. Now it's far easier to attack with f5 lining up, maybe with the queen as well. And as you say, Ding didn't really give him a chance to get back into this game. Queen c4, great resistance here to the temptation of taking this pawn, freeing the trade queens. Any endgame is favourable for Ding. And maybe the move that at least made me convinced, Jovanka, that Gukesh would suffer in this game, retreating with the queen to e1. I think at the very least he should have brought it forward.
He should have rolled the dice and just kept things active, because, you know, white has positioned all the pieces for a kingside attack. I think perhaps it was the point of no return. Queen to e1. Yeah.
Allowed another piece, to join in the action. The bishop jumped out, attacking this rook. No real safe squares other than this one, which is loose, only defended by the white knight. Ding took advantage of this immediately, undermining the knight. Great move, yeah. And he played it instantly. Actually, every move here was almost instant, building up the momentum for Ding. And Gukesh, in his defense, found a very clever defense. He played pawn to h4, asking the bishop in to a vulnerable square, and only after a trade, after Gukesh had given up a pawn here, did he kind of capture it on the e6, and maybe a small mistake from Ding. I would say the only moment where he didn't necessarily play the best move. Maybe taking with the bishop would have been slightly better, just keeping the f-file closed, which becomes relevant later. But now Gukesh dropped back, and this was, I feel, the final moment he had a chance.
Right.
We talked about bishop to c5 in this position as being the last glimmer of hope, and some sneaky ideas here, including queen c2, sliding to f2, and finally coming in.
But it was rook f3 as well.
Even better, maybe. Attacking this pawn and sliding across with the queen. Not easy. That's the problem for Gukesh, and he was low on time at this point.
Yeah, and he went for another tricky move, but that wasn't ultimately good. Queen to c2, and yes, okay, it caused the tricks if black were to capture with the queen, the pawns on g4 or b4, but Ding here found the very precise queen to c4.
Beautiful move.
Yeah.
Gukesh, it was just a case of right idea, wrong order, because if his bishop were out the way already, black would never be able to castle. You can't castle through check. But unfortunately now, this gain of tempo, you cannot trade queens as Gukesh, you're 2 pawns down. But this gain of tempo allows black the time to get to safety. Better late than never. Castling on move 31 is very late. Very impressive there from Ding. But after bishop d4, I think the clincher was this move, only winning move actually. Knight back to d3, cutting the connection between the queen and bishop, and covering a whole variety of squares the white queen wants to use. And yeah, here the simplification tactic, trading, hitting white's bishop now on d4. This ended resistance, and yeah, I think Gukesh, with a bit more time on the clock, would have dropped this bishop back. Still probably a very difficult position to find yourself in, but now Ding.
And now bishop gets mobilized, and
beautiful.
Yeah, keeps full control, and black's king is perfectly safe there on g8, especially once Ding finds a little peephole for it on h7. So yeah, you know, it's quite funny because when the game was in progress, you couldn't hear a pin drop outside, and suddenly the game is finished, and there's a massive buzz from players and people in the fan zone.
Yeah, I hope you can't hear that at home, but we can hear it definitely outside right now. It's buzzing out there, and I think that's because the players have exited, because the tension was just unbearable for everyone. The silence must have been just haunting there, but yeah,